welcome back to Mancinima. I hope you're having a lovely weekend. It's very hot and very warm out there. However, that's not an excuse not to go to the cinema. There's a cracker that's on at the cinema this week. But before we get into that, you know the usual routine. Please like this video. If you are brand new to this channel, please subscribe. If you have already subscribed to the channel, don't touch that button because it will unsubscribe you. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to know when I've done another video, please hit the notification bell. Right, without further ado, let's move on to today's film review. So, on to today's movie, which is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, sequel to 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Again starring Shameik Moore as Miles Morales, stroke Spider-Man, Brooklyn Spider-Man. Also got Haley Steinfeld back as Gwen Stacy / Spider-Gwen, or Spider-Woman as she calls herself in this movie. And this one introduces OscarIsaac as one of my favourite Spider-Man characters from the past, 2099, Spider-Man 2099. So in this story, we start off with Gwen Stacy, and she is basically chasing around the city, and she's been hunted by the police, and her father doesn't know that she's Spider-Gwen. So she's got that struggle about revealing to him that she is Spider-Gwen. And he thinks that Spider-Gwen is, or Spider-Woman as he knows her, is guilty of a crime, so he's hunting her down. And she's got that conflict about whether she reveals to her father who she really is in order to kind of allow herself to continue with the Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman career. On another side of time, you've got Miles Morales. He's missing Gwen. He's putting sketches of her in his little sketchbook. And he's struggling similarly with his own parents. He's got to kind of get on with his schoolwork, and there's a school meeting that's held, in which case his mum and dad go along, and they're looking at his schoolwork, and they say he's doing well in some things, but he's failing in others. And all the while this is going on, this villain, he's actually a B-grade villain for the comics. He's not one of the big ones like Mysterio or Doc Ock or Green Goblin or anything like that. He's a little tiny villain, and he's called the Spot. And he's got these interdimensional holes all over him where he can reach into himself or reach into other things and grab things from another spot in time. It's actually quite an amusing scene in this grocery store, the convenience store at the beginning. And this Spot character blames Spider-Man for his becoming, how he became this character. And it has something to do with the collider that was featured in the last movie, Into the Spider-Verse. So Spider-Man's got that to deal with, and he doesn't really take the threat too seriously. And I think because he mocks the Spot a little bit. It's a bit of a tongue twister again, isn't it? Because he mocks the Spot a little bit, the Spot gets angry and seeks out greater power. So anyway, this Spot eventually becomes a real threat to the multiverse, or to the Spider-Verse as we know it. And it's up to Spider-Man to try and find a way to stop him. In the meantime, Gwen finds herself at conflict with her own father. Like I say, she can't tell him that she's Spider-Woman, and there's conflict between the pair of them, and she gets offered to go through this portal with Spider-Man 2099 and with Jessica Drew, who is another Spider-Person, Spider-Woman from one of the comic books, but she looks radically different from the Spider-Woman in the comic books. And so she decides to go and work with them. And she's given this portal thing where she can, it's like a wristband or a watch or something, they call it a watch in the film. And they can drop in and out of these different portals across the universe and across the multiverse. And she's kind of warned not to go and visit Miles, but she can't help herself, she misses him. She classes him as her only friend because her only friend in her previous life, if you like, or on her previous dimension, was Peter Parker. And of course he got killed when he took like a lizard dose and turned himself into a lizard. So he got killed in alternative reality, there you go. And so now she's looking to Miles to be her only friend as she misses him. So she kind of drops in on him, sees him, and then she says, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And she pops back through this portal, and of course Miles can turn himself invisible, and he decides to follow her through the portal and into the Spider-Verse. In which case you see the giant spider HQ that you see at the beginning, or actually during the trailers that have been put out. So I'm not going to tell you anything more than that. In that Spider-Man it's not going to be an easy ride for him once he gets through that portal. Once he reaches the other side and speaks to the other spider people, everything goes kind of a bit wrong. You've also got the Spot out there causing problems, and there's interdimensional this, that and the other going on. So that's as much of the plot as I want to tell you. I don't want to spoil it anymore for you. So what about the film itself then? It's very enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable film. It's a long film. It's about 2 hours, I think it's about 2.5 hours long, or 2 hours and 15 minutes long, something like that. So it is a long film. But it is very enjoyable. There's great humour. Of course, some of the fantastic artwork that you saw in the previous Into the Spider-Verse, and a lot more of different artwork as well. You've got new characters that are introduced. it kind of really dots around all these different moments in different multiverses, and you get to see little glimpses of other universes, which is really interesting. Fantastic action, as I say, fantastic emotion in the film. You really feel from what Miles and what Gwen are going through. What I will say, what I was really pleased with actually, is that this isn't just a Miles Morales story. He's not the key focus in this movie. Gwen's story is equally as important, which I loved. I thought that was great. So you've got two main stories going on at the main time, and they're both equally as important as one another. So that was fantastic. Rather than it being a one character focus, I really enjoyed the fact that you look at Gwen's story and you look at Miles' story, and although they do cross over and interact, they're both as important as one another. So I really did enjoy that. What else can I say? The one thing I'll say is there are moments at the film where they are talking about Miles' life with his parents and Gwen's life with her father, and it does kind of drag a little bit at the beginning. It does kind of really kind of slog its way down. You think, you know, it's probably talking a little bit too much. You're probably doing too much dialogue, too much character building, when you really kind of want to get on to the action. It's quite a while actually. Although Spider-Man 2099 turns up at the beginning, he doesn't really appear again until quite later on in the film, and then when he meets up with Miles Morales and the story begins to pick up pace from there on out. It's a little bit messy story-wise. It does hop all over the place. Like I say, there's certain things that I probably would have dropped out in order to keep the pace going, to keep it more interesting. There are some fantastic musical moments. I mean, the score is really interesting and it works really well within the film. The visuals work fantastically within the film. As I say, there's loads of different styles going on. There's some great cameos as well, which I won't tell you about, but yeah, go and look very carefully when you're looking at this film. There's some obvious ones that are put right in front of your face, and there's other ones you've really got to scour the screen for. The one thing I will say is that when he goes to the Spider-Man universe, there's too much going on, there's too much coming at the screen at once. And if you're a Spider-Man fan, you know, a big Spider-Man fan like I am, you're going to kind of regret that a little bit, because you're going to want to see all these Spider-Men that are all over the screen, and because it's all coming at you like this, you go, oh, but there's, you know, and you're missing things that are coming towards you. But it's going to be great when you get it on 4K or on Blu-ray or one of those where you can pause that scene and look at it and examine all the artwork. I think that's the thing that kind of annoyed me a little bit about this one, is that because there is so much going on, you don't get to appreciate the amount of work that went into it. It's kind of bombarded at you at the screen. And it sometimes comes too much too fast, and you don't appreciate the amount of work that they've actually put in, all the detail that they put in. It's impossible to see it. Yeah, so there's, like I said, there's moments where it flags a little bit at the beginning. The story does kind of slow down a little bit. There's some good cameos in this film, as I said before. Just keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open in every corner. There's moments where Miles is talking in this room and like a web appears, and you've got to look in those little squares or those little segments of the web. And there's things in you, go, oh my god, that's so-and-so. So, yeah, that's worth looking out for. And the movie ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but obviously you've got another movie due. I don't know when. They didn't give you a date. They didn't say this movie is coming in a couple of years or in 5 years. I think we had 5. Do we have a 5-year gap in this one? So a 5-year gap between Into the Spider-Verse and where we are now with Across the Spiderverse. The next one's called Beyond the Spider-Verse, and they announced that title at the end of this movie. It's no big surprise. It's been out in all the press already, so I'm not spoiling anything. That title has already been out there. So yeah, that's called Beyond the Spider-Verse, where they didn't give you a date when that movie's going to happen. So, do I recommend you go and see this at the cinema? Yes, I do. It's visually stunning. It's fantastic. The one thing I will say is, although it's a cartoon, although it's an animation, I don't think it's going to be good for young children to sit and watch. As I said at the beginning, there's a lot of slog to get through. There's a lot of character kind of exposition and a lot of stories set up to go on, and it can get a little bit boring for them. I mean, I know I saw kids getting up and going to the loo every 5 minutes while I was in the cinema last night, and I must admit I was kind of clock watching, thinking, come on, let's get through this bit because I know the good stuff's coming. And it was just a lot of talk, and a lot of slightly boring stuff, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think children will enjoy it, but I don't know if they're going to enjoy it in the cinema. There's a lot of fidgeting going on last night, a lot of agitation, kids getting up and wanting ice creams and stuff like that. So their focus wasn't really on the film. It's more for us kind of die-hard Spider-Man fans, really. I think that it's more for us. But that's not to say you shouldn't take your children to watch this. It's a fun film. It's action-packed. There's little bits of not really horror, but little bits of intensity in the film. Some great set pieces, great characterization again, and some classic Spider-Man villains popping up here and there. So yeah, I did enjoy this one. What I would give it out of 10 is possibly 7.5, maybe. Not quite as good as the last one. Not quite as good as Into the Spider-Verse or any of the previous Spider-Man movies that have gone on. But it's still entertaining, and you know, it's that middle segment film. So maybe the Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to up the game again and change things and make it more interesting. But yes, definitely go and see this one in the cinema. The one thing I will say is if you go to Cineworld Cinema, sorry Odeon, I know you know I'm an Odeon fan, I go to the Odeon. Go to Cineworld Cinemas, currently they've got these. These are little cup toppers. They only had Miles left when I went there, but they do Gwen as well. And I wasn't able to get Gwen unfortunately, but there's the cup. I don't know if you guys can see that alright, but we'll give that a little bit of slow spin. Okay, I'm sorry that if that's out of focus, I can't tell from where I'm sitting, but yeah, there you go. That's the Cineworld. That cost £6 without a drink in it, so that's £6 on its own. Whether they did anything else, popcorn tubs or anything, I don't know. Also, Zavvi, HMV, I don't know if anybody else, but they've released the Steelbook, the cover of what the Steelbook's going to look like. They're saying it's going to be available in December. I think it's going to be available a lot sooner than that, but they put the earliest release date as December this year, so you can pre-order Across the Spiderverse right now on Zavvi and on HMV. And I'll pop a picture of what that looks like right over there. Okay? Right, so there we go. That is my review of Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I'm going to get those two confused. I apologise if I've said the other way around into when I meant across, okay? Yeah, that's my review of that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for sitting through it. Thank you once again for looking at all the videos that are on the channel. Just go through the old routine one more time. If you've enjoyed this video, please press that like button. It really does help the channel out. It basically tells YouTube that people are watching me and to spread the word a little bit further. The more the word, or the web, you know, because we've got a little web logo up on my page. The more the web spreads, the more watches we can get, and it makes me feel that what I'm doing is worthwhile. Also, if you're brand new to this channel, as I said before, please subscribe. There's loads of different videos on here. I've got a new one coming up in a few days' time about dinosaurs. I haven't done a dinosaur video for a little while, so there's a new dinosaur video coming up in a few days' time. And we've got conventions, just done the MCM London Comic Con, I've done the Wales Comic Con, there's Star Wars Celebration is on there, quite a few conventions are on there now for you to go and have a look at. There's a few travelogue kind of videos, there'll be more of those coming up in the future. Yeah, loads to look at. And as before, let me know if you've seen Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse and if you've enjoyed it and what you thought of it. And come and have a chat with me down in the comments. I'm going to make a prediction here. One last word about this film. My prediction is, and it's because of certain things that happen in this movie, is I think once we've wrapped up Beyond the Spider-Verse, there's going to be a way for Spider-Man to step out of the animated world and into the live-action world. So I think there's going to be something that's going to happen in Beyond the Spider-Verse that will allow Miles Morales to break into the live-action world, and we'll have Miles Morales live-action movies. That's not to say that I want them instead of Peter Parker. I'd much rather have Peter Parker movies because for me Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Okay, that's it. I'm going to be quiet now. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all again soon.